Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of At the Movies with William Fletcher. As usual, I am your host, William Fletcher, and I am joined this week by a new guest, just like last week. I was joined by someone who hadn't been on the show before, also joined by someone new this week. Josh, or Film Fan, or Food. One of those names. I'm just gonna whichever one I remember. That's just what I'm gonna.
All right. Okay, so those are
And
all the.
yes, one of those
Yeah.
multiple aliases.
Yeah.
And for this week, we are going to be talking about Promising Young Woman to tie into the release of Saltburn, which I've already seen. So,
Okay.
but
Luck,
I'm not.
lucky.
Uh, I was very lucky that I was able to see it because I saw it at a film festival and it was a very late addition to the film festival.
Yeah. The
But I was
festival
very
rollout with that movie is very weird. It's like
mm,
it took them forever to announce like they would be going to all those festivals.
yeah. But yeah, we're mainly going to be talking about Promising Young Woman today, which I
Yeah.
have covered before. I did an Oscars episode and I talked about it then, but I haven't. But this is like a full-on proper episode to talk about the whole
Yeah.
film. And so I rewatched it for the purposes of this because I saw it January 2021, like when it was in cinemas here. And when I first saw it, I was, a very, very big fan of it, and I rewatched it, and I still really like it.
Movie twice now. I watched it for the first time about a year ago during the summer. Like, I was trying to catch up on a lot of the Oscar movies I missed, and that was a big one, of course. And
hmm
I had seen it then, and then I rewatched it literally like an hour or two ago for the purposes of this episode. And so
mm
I really like the movie. I think I would go
hmm
as far as to say it's a great movie. I It could have been amazing, but I'm not crazy about the ending.
Okay, yeah, that's exactly where I left. I
Yeah.
like the film is. I think so much of this film is really,
It's like
really
it's
great.
it's so good for the first 90 minutes, and then there's like that last 15 to 20. It's like
Yeah,
I
I,
don't know about this.
yeah, that's exactly where I land
Yeah.
on it. The ending is like what holds it back from me putting this as like one of my favorite films ever. Just because I'm like,
Yeah.
we'll get
I mean, like,
onto it,
yeah.
but yeah, full spoilers by the way. Like again, if
Yeah.
you haven't seen this, I'm gonna fully go into this. So, um,
So where
I
should we
don't really
start
know
with this?
where. I might as well just like the cast. I used to when I started in this like through the film chronologically, but that just takes
Mhm.
way too long, and I don't have the
Yeah.
the patience anymore to
Yeah.
go through a film scene by scene because it just goes on forever.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I
cast
mean, it's
Carey Mulligan is the
it,
lead in it, and I don't think I'd
yeah.
seen her in anything else prior to this. I don't think.
I think it's
Um,
actually is this the only movie I've seen Carey Mulligan in? I think it actually is, 'cause I still need to watch like Drive and stuff like that,
yeah. I've seen her in
but
in a sort of a few things since, but I think this is her best. I think it's a really great
yeah,
performance.
she's incredible. She's it brings the whole movie together. Like she just every
Mm.
moment she's on screen, like
Yeah, and
I think
it's I still hate that she didn't win the Oscar for this because I think she's
yeah, I agree. I think
much
she really
better.
should have won. Frances McDormand.
Like Frances McDormand isn't bad. Mind, it's
I
just
mean,
like
I liked her in that movie, but like, why?
just
You know?
this isn't. Yeah, like what is she doing here? That's so great. Like that's so Oscar worthy. It's this. But I think Carey Mulligan, yeah, one of the best performances probably of the entire decade so far. Like
Yeah,
when we're
yeah,
nearing the end of
probably.
2023, and I still think she's one of the best of the not the best or not my
She's
favorite per se, but she'd
she's like
probably be in my top 10 somewhere.
of like the last, I guess for this decade of the Best Actress winners, she's maybe the best one, maybe,
Mm,
or not winning, but like nominations
yeah,
probably.
one of the best nominees. Yeah.
I keep forgetting that Frances McDormand won for the movie.
It's
It's just like
such
it
a
was so
forgettable.
random, you know?
Well, it's
Like
so
why?
forgettable. Like I find that movie incredibly forgettable. So just
It's like,
yeah,
I mean, like
but
the
I mean,
movie
Karen
was
Mulligan.
fine, but
Yeah.
like this was one of the most interesting characters of this decade. Like,
Yeah. No, I definitely think there's
you,
a lot. Um, that's it. Because I think this role, like, because if I remember correctly, Margot Robbie was originally, or someone else was like considered for this role, and then
yeah,
they,
I didn't even realize. Apparently, she produced the movie. Name in like the opening credits.
well, that does make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
That's very fitting. Um, yeah, because I think yeah, Karen Mulligan. I think like if like she really brings this film together. You
Yeah.
know, I think
Yeah.
if her performance doesn't work, then the film doesn't
Yeah.
work. And she's the only
Right.
real major character really. Like the
Yeah.
film's sort of interspersed with tons of sort of actors who are only in like a couple scenes or a scene even.
I mean, like, the
Um,
second biggest role in the movie is from Bo Burnham, probably.
yes, Bo Burnham, and this was before I really knew who he was. Like I'd seen bits of his comedy specials and that, but I didn't know like who he was as
Yeah.
like a talent, and so um I think he's good in this, but I don't
Yeah.
think I think overall the cast, most of them are good, but they're not really that amazing in it.
I mean, like the standout is Carey Mulligan,
Yeah, I think Karen
without
Mulligan is.
question.
Yes. I
The
will say
sort the
though, I think Alfred Molina is also really great in like that. Like he's like
yeah.
Alfred Molina I think is a very underrated
Oh
acting
yeah, for
talent,
sure.
honestly. And I think he
Yeah.
really does a lot with like just that
Yeah.
one, like
Yeah. I almost wish there was more of him because like, he is so good in that one scene.
yeah. And he does that weird thing where I was talking to someone about this and they basically saying Alfred Molina just does this thing sometimes where he's in like one scene in a movie and that's the best scene. Like he's in that one scene
Yeah.
in Boogie Nights and it's the best scene of Boogie Nights.
Yeah. I
Instead
mean,
of other.
so one thing I thought was really interesting about this movie is like so the way the cast is designed, like they looked for the supporting cast, they found like all these comedians and people like that, and
Mm,
like they wanted like these likable, nice guy type personas to play all
exactly.
of these
Yeah.
characters that obviously turned out to be not so nice guys.
Yeah,
And
exactly. It was a juxtaposition to what you expect from these actors.
yeah. And then you had Alfred Molina, who's mostly known for like playing villains. You know, like he's the guy in the beginning of Raiders, and
Yeah.
he's Doctor Octopus and Spider Man. Like
Yeah.
he's most well known for his villainous roles, and he's like the only character in this movie that sort of has a redemption.
Yeah. Which is a bit unrealistic that a lawyer would have that much.
Yeah,
But I think I mean, that's probably my favorite scene of the whole film is the scene where she goes to his house. Like, I think that's probably the best part of the entire film. And I think it's really, again, it's Alfred Molina's performance that really
yeah,
sells that scene. But Carey Mulligan as well, she
yeah.
works very well. But yeah, Bo Burnham is in this. I don't. Bo Burnham's weird to me because I don't think he's a particularly good actor, really. Like,
I think he works in the movie.
I think he works, yes. And to be fair, I think it does because, well, again, I talked when I covered this film in my Oscars episode, a couple of years ago now. We did talk about this film, and the person I was doing it with, she's a big fan of Bo Burnham and his work, and so she had sort of an inherent like, oh, I like Bo Burnham, so I'm gonna like his character, which is obviously
Right.
the point. You've got all these actors who play,
It's like you want
nice
to
characters.
like these people, but like in reality, like these are just none of these people are really redeemable.
Yeah. There's also Alison Brie as well in
Like
this, who again, same thing.
the film sort of looks at this idea of like, we classify, because obviously the film deals with very heavy topic of like rape and stuff like that, and like you sort of, when you think of those people, you think of like these very shady guys at a bar,
Yeah,
in the
exactly.
fedora, like, and you think, oh well, I'm better than them. Like these are these nice, funny, charming guys that are.
Exactly. Yeah, it plays on your
You think, oh yeah, well these
expectation.
people have to be better than them, but they can be just as bad.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think this film is a film that I definitely some people are like, oh, it does this whole like sort of hating on men thing, but the reality is it's not. Like, because there
Yeah,
are also female characters who are
yeah.
shown
It's
to
like
be
it's
really
more of like
bad.
it's like everyone is complicit.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, again, Alfred Molina has a redemption arc.
Yeah,
And Carey Mulligan's dad,
yeah,
as far as we do see, is a really good, knight.
yeah,
And I think it's not just it's making a comment on both men and women.
yeah.
How both are at fault,
It's.
and
I
I
mean,
think.
I think it's less about men as much as it's about society in general.
Yeah, yeah, no, exactly that. It's not a attacking men thing, because it's not. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um. But yeah, who else is this? Yeah, Clancy Brown, Jennifer Coolidge, Carey Mulligan's parents in this thing. It's nice to see Clancy Brown in things. They're not really in the film a whole lot, but
Right. But they have
they're
a
always nice
couple of good
additions.
scenes.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, Laverne Cox, who I'm familiar with like a lot of these actors, but not quite like Christopher Mintz-Plasse. I think I'd seen the trailer, I think, for this, and I saw that Christopher Mintz-Plasse was in it. It's like, oh, McLovin's in this, and then he's just in that
Right.
one scene, and then he's
Yeah,
gone
cool.
again. He's
Yeah.
getting these really,
See, like,
I think, very
because again, you get McLovin, so he's that likable character from Superbad. Like you want to
exactly,
root for all these guys, but like,
yeah,
no.
yeah, no, you get all these sort of very good sort of not character actors per se, but you get all these really, just likable actors and just get them in for just like one scene. And I think
And
that's
like you
really
show
good.
that like these likable personas can be deceiving.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Then this film has it's a very like, just look at like the marketing, like the poster, like it's very pink, and there's a very sort of
Yeah.
uh like sort of air of sweetness to it. Like surface level, it's a very
Yeah.
colorful, it's a very bright movie, but sort
Yeah.
of as you delve into it, it's like, oh, this
Yeah, it's
is
like,
much
yes,
much darker.
deals with very dark subject
Yeah.
matter. Like,
And I just want to say, I might have to issue a trigger warning just in case. Like,
yeah.
we may talk about some
I mean,
things.
it's a movie
I mean,
about
that's what
sexual
the plot of the
assault.
film is. Yeah, I think just a
Yeah.
really nice juxtaposition of this colorful exterior, but it's very dark underneath. Yeah, and I'm a big fan of
Yeah.
that kind of thing in movies and TV. In that way, you've got a very colorful or
Yeah.
exciting sort of like one of my favorite films is Little Shop of Horrors, which is outwardly very, very, it's like it's a comedy, and it's a musical and
Right.
everything, but it's got themes of like domestic abuse and violence and all these sorts of things, and I respond well to that kind of thing.
It allows you to reflect on the way you respond. Because like the thing is, like, this film isn't just about the people that do the assault. Is like it also goes to the people that just are sort of bystanders to it. It's like they know what happened was bad, but like they don't bother enough to like care that much about it.
Exactly, yeah. And there's like that scene where Carey Mulligan, she's talking to the like person
Yeah.
who runs like the school or whatever, and she's like, yeah, we reported
Right.
this to you, and we're
Right.
like, well,
It's,
where she, it's all this victim
it's
blaming
like
stuff.
it's like people just want to go about their lives and like they want to
Yeah,
push
they
this stuff
wanna,
under.
yeah, pick the sort of easy
It's
solution and sort of
it's
not
like
want to acknowledge the
they
that
don't want to take a stand on this because it's an inconvenience to them
exactly, or like,
when
oh,
it
we don't
should
want to
be.
ruin this guy's life because, and it's just like, well, it's this whole like, well, we don't want to ruin his
Right.
life, and it's just like, well,
And it's also like when this stuff isn't happening to you, you can be like so ignorant to it. But like when like you have Carey Mulligan's character, it's like she gets her daughter
yeah,
waiting in the
exactly,
cafe, and it's like suddenly she cares so much. And it
exactly,
was the
yeah,
same
it's
thing
like,
with Alison Brie's character in the movie. It was like
exactly,
when
she's,
yeah,
yeah,
it was like she
um,
didn't believe the person. It's like suddenly like nobody, everyone's ignoring her when at least in when
mhm.
she thinks something like that is happening to her.
it,
I've seen people criticize it for being unsubtle, but like I think that's one of the movie's strengths is like it goes straight in.
yeah,
You know,
I don't think it needs to be subtle though.
you
Like,
know
can you?
it doesn't.
And the
I mean,
question is, can you really be subtle with this kind of
no, you
subject matter?
can't. I
I feel
mean,
like you kind of need to be.
I feel
I,
like
I,
it's the same. It's the same people that are like trying to call this movie woke or whatever. It's like trying to disguise it under it's unsettled. It's probably more of that kind of thing.
I think I don't think the film needs to be it's like, as much as I'm not the biggest fan of the film, but Don't Look Up, like I don't think that film's trying to be subtle, nor does it need to be.
Right.
I don't I'm fine with movies not being subtle.
These people need to like Cassie needs to get through these people, so she has to
Mm.
get them into an uncomfortable situation where they see the situation at
Yeah,
hand with both of
yeah.
their eyes.
Mm. And prior to this movie, before I had seen it, I think I'd read like the plot synopsis, or I'd maybe seen a trailer or something. I had thought initially before watching it that she was like killing all of those guys. Um, because, and I mean, I'm
That's
glad
another
she's
movie.
not, because yeah, I
That's
think
called
wouldn't, the film wouldn't work as well if she was killing all these guys, because I feel like that also would undermine it to a degree. I feel like if she
right.
was like, I
Because
think
then you would make the movie more of like a moral conflict about her doing the right thing when like
for
that
the
should
wrong,
not be what this movie's about.
yeah, yeah, I think, because I'm someone who, revenge movies are very difficult for me to connect with, because on a
Right.
moral level I
If
disagree with them.
right, like
Um,
if they made this movie Joker with abuse
yeah,
victims, it's like
exactly.
that would
Yeah,
not work.
that wouldn't. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, the reason why I think this works is because yeah, she's not killing these people. It's she's
She's
sort of
just sort of
holding up
she
a
doesn't
mirror.
even report most of these people. She just like exposes
Yeah,
them
yeah,
and
she's
then
holding
leaves
up
them
a
be.
mirror to their what to their ugly side, and I think that's what makes this work as well as it does, is that she's
Yeah.
holding up a mirror to them essentially. And I do think some people probably, yeah, because I feel like I've definitely heard about people who for some reason think she is killing them, even though the film makes it abundantly clear that she's not. Like it's
Yeah, that doesn't.
very clear, and like she doesn't do that.
No, like
Um,
she doesn't even kill the guys at the end.
yeah, exactly. Even the
We'll get. Yeah.
guy, yeah, even Alfred Molina's character, she was going to have him killed, but she then stops that. But
Yeah.
um, yeah, I think this film, I mean, there's a lot of scenes that I do really like in this film. I think the sort of,
Yeah.
I also think this film we touched on this at the beginning, but yeah, I don't like the ending. But beyond the ending, I
Yeah,
think this is a very well written film for the most part. I think
it's
there's a lot.
it's also very well directed too. Like
Yeah, for a debut feature, this is a very, very like well made film. Like this is
yeah,
um
I had forgotten how strong the style was to it. I love the
y-
use of music all throughout, all the different edits, especially in like the cafe scene.
yeah. And I also think the curated soundtrack, like
Yeah,
all the songs that are played throughout, I think this is probably one of the
yeah,
best curated soundtracks for a film, like just in general, honestly. Like it's just wall
yeah,
to wall, like really great songs. Um,
yeah.
I
Like
genuinely like.
the first 10 minutes of the movie is like incredibly directed. Like
Yeah,
immediately
yeah.
with the song choice, like with the dancing scene, all the different camera angles you get in that, like going
hmm
straight, like the writing in those scenes were pretty strong too. Like I think the film was at its best maybe during some of those scenes.
Because I always watch, I watch like sort of debut films of other filmmakers, and
Right.
they don't quite all have the pieces yet. They're generally
Right.
sort of low budget films, or they're very cheap, or
Right.
they're not very good.
How
But
much
this
did
feels like
this movie cost?
I think this film cost about 10 million to make. Let me check.
Mm,
Approximately $10 million to make.
okay.
Which is. But this
I mean, it
feels like a
looks
film.
very good.
Yeah, this feels like a film made by someone who's been doing this for a
Yeah.
long time. It doesn't feel
Yeah.
like this is someone who's just starting out. It feels like someone like
Yeah. The score is also really good too.
because she's direct believe that, but it's not. She directed a short film prior to this, but
Yeah, it's
that's
like
it.
had she writ
And
had she written anything before this either? I don't remember.
let me have a look because I'm actually not sure because she was primarily like an actor before this. I'm just having a look, seeing. So she'd done some writing. She'd done some writing on Killing Eve and a TV
Okay.
show called Drifters.
Alright.
But she'd also done theatre. Well, that was actually after this. But I don't think so. I don't think
And
she had.
in
She
general,
was
like she's new to the scene. Like
she's predominantly an actor, and I think that's again very impressive. And as someone who has seen Saltburn, I think
mm,
it's like if she keeps going on the trajectory she's going on now, she could very well end up being like
she's gonna be a
one of
top
my
talent.
all-time
Yeah.
favorite directors. Yeah, just based on these, two films. But it's very because a lot of filmmakers I love have been doing it for a long time. Like Fincher and
Right.
guys like Scorsese and Spielberg and Nolan and all that. They've been doing this for decades now. So it's always nice when you sort of discover a new filmmaker because you're like, well, I can follow this person's career from the
Right.
beginning. They've got one film and I can be here from
Yeah.
first one they released till the last one. It's really
Yeah.
interesting to watch that because I'm not
Right.
uh used to that
Yeah.
really. Well, because to sort of talk about the film itself. I think this is a very well paced film as well. Like
Oh
the film's
yeah.
like nearly 2 hours, and
Yeah.
I'm very
I
particular about pacing with films, honestly.
yeah,
And I
me
think
too. Like
this is
I've
like it's 2 hours, but there's never like a dull
right.
moment
It
in it.
moves at a very fast pace. It's like I've got tired of like the 2.5 hour movies these days. Like everything needs to be so long.
I do, yeah. I personally
Like
would be fine if like every film was 2 hours. I do love films that
yeah.
are longer than 2 hours, mind,
I mean,
but
like I'm fine with movies being long as like, only if they need to, though. Like,
well,
and
yeah,
I feel
that's
like
it. And
many
that's
films these days don't need to be as long as they are.
yeah. I don't know where this. Again, I've talked about this before, but I don't know where this obsession. Like Oppenheimer was 3 hours. Killers of the Flower Moon was like 3.5 hours. the new
I
John
mean,
Wick was nearly 3 hours. Like, I don't, and
yeah.
I
I
like
mean,
those movies, but
yeah. I mean, I think with John Wick and Oppenheimer, I think those were mostly fine runtimes. Like with Killers, I didn't like hate the runtime. Like I was expecting to really be bothered by the runtime, and like it wasn't that bad for me. Like I thought it was
yeah,
mostly well paced, but like I still feel
it
like you could
didn't.
have chopped out like 10,
Yeah,
15
it
minutes
didn't
maybe.
bother me per se. It was just like I was watching, like, okay, you could have cut it. You know, I wasn't like bored per
Yeah,
se. I was just sort of like,
it was never boring at
yeah,
all. Like
yeah.
it was an
Um,
engaging movie.
but yeah, yeah, no, because it's like an hour 53 minutes, and I think that's good. You know, I think if this film was any longer than it was, then I definitely think it would
Yeah,
have started to drag a bit. Because I feel like
yeah, but
the way it's paced and everything, it
yeah,
sort of it hits the moments it needs to hit,
yeah. Like so
and
now
if it
this
went
movie has
over,
a really good rhythm to it.
yeah, I think in terms of how it's you know, because this isn't like the most flashy movie on like the surface.
Yeah.
You know, this isn't like
But, like
a
there's
film
a
that,
lot going into the directing.
yeah, exactly. There's a lot, you know, in terms of like the cinematography, yeah, the editing and
I mean, a lot of it
all
is
the,
like the soundtrack and the editing.
yeah, I think that really, helps it. I think having, that really helps it. And I think, because, you know, sometimes I will say curated soundtracks, you can just tell the filmmaker's like, oh, what's a cool song that I can put in here, even though it doesn't fit at all. It's like, oh, we've got
Right.
to, you
Like
know, but I
they
think,
opened up Spotify for 5 minutes. Like,
yeah, they're
oh, this
like,
you
oh,
can
we've
throw that
got,
in there.
what's a film that's about, like, I don't know, trying to think of an example, like a recent example. You know, like we've written a lot. We've got, I don't know, like a film about, you know,
It was like
we're in New
Super Mario
Orleans.
Bros.
Yeah, or
It
like,
was
oh,
like,
we're
oh,
in,
he's trained. He's gonna. Oh, let's play I Need a Hero because why not?
yeah, or
They're
like,
holding out for Hero.
yeah, and yeah. Oh, we've got a film about dogs. Let's just play this song about dogs, even though it's not actually about dogs. It's just got dog in the title.
Yeah,
You know, it's this. But yeah, I think the curated soundtrack works very well. Yeah, I really like this film for like the
yeah,
most part. You know, I think there's
yeah. I mean, it's
um
a very well done movie. It's just the ending. So, do we want to talk about the ending now?
the ending. I've talked to
So,
many people about this, and I don't hate it. I don't think it's the complete like a
it
terrible.
doesn't
I don't think
ruin
it's
the movie or
worse.
anything.
No, 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 no. It does not ruin the movie. It's just like I really, really would have maybe this is just because I'm an inherently cynical person, but I
Here,
do,
here's. I'll let you say what you're gonna say, and then I'll say that.
yeah,
So,
I just find that like, I'm very cynical, and I do
right.
kind of wish the film had just ended with her like dying, and then that's it, because
Right.
I don't necessarily think what happens after undoes the ending per se. I think though, if the film ended with her dying, I think that's a very good. I think that helps the thesis statement of it, in the sense of
Yeah.
this film is sort of showing like, okay, this guy doing this thing to her, is it her sister or her friend? Friend, yeah. She does this thing to, her friend is assaulted and whatever. This one action, look as like, it's, because her friend has like killed herself, or, right? Yeah, I'm not misremembering that. Her friend is like
I think actually, they never like explicitly say, but like I think it's sort
Im-
of implied she killed herself.
implied. Yeah. And then it's sort of this knock-on effect of like, this bad thing happening to this person led to,
Yeah.
Cassie dying. It's this,
Right.
and I was like, I think that's a really, really good, sort of thesis statement of like, this one bad thing, like, look at what this one thing caused, like, look at all the
Yeah.
bad things that have happened since, because it's made Cassie,
Yeah.
very closed off, and then, unfortunately when she does open up to a guy, he's part of the problem too. It's this whole,
Yeah.
knock-on effect. And just having him get captured at the end, I just sort of feel like kind of undoes the whole point of the movie,
Yeah, so
to a
like
degree.
so like for most of the film you have a good idea of what it's trying to communicate. It's like, but then when you get the ending, it's like I'm not sure anymore because like the way she ends up solving the issue is using authority, which the whole movie has been trying to say has been like they're rigged against her, you know.
Yeah, exactly. They're not actually gonna help. You know. Yeah. No. I
Like
get. Yeah, I didn't even realize that, but that makes a lot of sense actually.
like
I didn't. You just made me realize that. Yeah, that.
yeah, when you end up solving the issue by having the police come in, but like the entire movie was like showing like all these figures of power, how this was irrelevant to them.
Hmm.
You know, it's like that she was gonna have to find her own way to solve this issue,
Yeah, exactly.
and
And to be fair, she does, and then it
sort
backfire. You
of,
know, and I
but
think
yeah.
yeah, and again, I think that also would help too. Of like the police aren't help. You know, the authorities, they're not gonna sort of do
I think it would have
anything.
been more powerful if like the guy ends up sort of winning in the end. Like he was able to win this long war with her, you know, and it's like everyone
Yeah.
believes he was innocent at the end of the day.
Yeah, exactly. Because that kind of
I think
reflects
it would fit
real
the thesis of
life.
the movie more, and also it would reflect
Yeah.
the real world better. Yeah. Speaking of reflecting the real world, I was like the ending also even because in concept I think it's a bad ending to have this be the way you resolve the movie, but also just in execution too. It doesn't even really make like half of the
Mm.
stuff she does at the end of the movie does not feel realistic at all. Where she was able to
No.
set up all of this,
Yeah, and
like
I've
she.
talked to people, and they're like, well, but Cassie sort of smart. She would have thought all this through, and she would have planned
This
it. And
was
I'm like,
also
I feel
like
like
not set up though, you know.
well, exactly. That's the thing, right? If you're gonna have that be the ending, you've got to have
Like
something
it
like
had
even something
like
as simple as
I
her like
was
sending the letter, or you just
I
something
was
to sort of
looking for the
set up.
pieces on rewatch to see if like there was more setup for this ending, and like
Yeah.
there wasn't. There really
Yeah,
wasn't.
that's again. It's if you're gonna have like a twist ending, because this is effectively like a twist ending. You need to
Yeah,
have setup for it, and I don't think there is. And I do
it's
think
like
sort of the
all.
whole hand wavy, like, oh, but this is her character. She was. I was like, oh, that's a bit of a cop out answer because it's like there's no setup
Yeah, it's
for
like
it that we
she's
see.
smart, but like that does not explain when she took all the time to set up, like knowing, oh yeah, she's definitely gonna die, and sending all these letters and schedule. Can you
Yeah,
even do that with messages? With sending like scheduled messages? Like, is that a thing?
I. Yeah, you can do that. You can do that. Yeah.
Okay.
Um,
Okay, so I
it,
guess
it just
I get it.
feels, yeah. Well, because originally the ending was her dying, like that was going to
Right,
be the ending. But
right.
the finances, the people who were like, no, we can't have that, and
Mhm. It tries to have
that
like a bittersweet ending. And it's like I don't. This is not the story to have an ending like that, though.
no, I think this film would have worked if it was just a very dark, cynical ending.
Yeah, I mean
Um,
that would be more realistic.
yeah, exactly. It would work better, and I think it would be more. It would tell the story. It would, yeah.
It's
Again,
like this is
thesis
a
based.
thematically brilliant movie for the first 90 minutes, but like
Yeah,
its message becomes
exactly.
much more muddled when you end the movie like that.
And it just becomes, yeah, like I think it's okay for films to not have happy endings all the time, you know?
Right.
Because if this is a film that's meant to sort of reflect real life, like that's not like real
Yeah.
life doesn't have happy endings, so I think it would be totally fine to
Yeah.
have an ending that is just sad. And I've read here that apparently Emerald Fennell considered an ending where Cassie would appear at the wedding and then kill the men responsible, but then she deemed it unrealistic, which is good because that also would have been a terrible ending.
That would have been a silly ending too.
But I just think the ending, because I've talked to people and I know someone who's a very, very big fan of this film, and he likes the ending, and I want to find what he said actually, just so I can like remember what he said, so I can mention that,
Right.
because I have no memory of, because we were talking about like good scenes in bad films, and like bad scenes in good films and good scenes in bad films. Yeah, and I said so I said it was cheap, yeah, and
And I can sort of see why someone would like the ending of the movie. I mean, it's like sort of she gets her revenge, like she gives her life for this cause and ends up winning, I guess. Which I think would be more powerful if everything she went to had been for nothing, to show like this isn't prevented her from winning, you know?
yeah. So they said, I think it's the crescendo of the main character's self-destructive, all-consuming grief. Yeah, ultimately the wrongdoers got what they deserved, and that is arguably the last bit hit in the story. But the final note we are left on is the text from Cassie. She's still dead, and we wouldn't have gotten this ending had she not died due to her self-destructive revenge mission. And like I understand that point. I just don't agree with it, to be honest. I really don't agree.
But like, cause then like she still wins though. Like it doesn't.
Yeah, and I think the film, would play better. Cause like, this film would have been like a 9 if that ending was good. Like, if that ending was as good, I'd be like, oh, this is an easy, like, 9. But I don't think it is, and I think, I'm not gonna give it away, but I think Saltburn, the ending of Saltburn works, and like, everything about that ending is like, helps elevate the rest of the movie, you know.
Did you like Promising Young Woman more or Saltburn more?
I preferred Saltburn more. I think Saltburn, it comes together. First of all, I think performance-wise, it's, well, because there's a lot more actors who are in it a lot, like Rosamund Pike is in it for quite a bit, and Jacob Elordi and all these actors, you know, I think, Barry Keoghan's very, very great in it. I mean, again, I'm gonna probably talk about this in a review of the year episode, but I think Saltburn, and it comes together very, very nicely in the last, in the ending, because I think it, like, I don't want to say anything, but the ending's much better. That's just what I want to say. But I think Promising Young Woman is
it ties together much more coherently.
It ties together, and it makes the rest of the film better, honestly.
Right.
Like, for me, Promising Young Woman is like a 9 out of 10 for a lot of the runtime. Like, it's a it's
I would
really
have probably
great
given it a 9, but like I think the ending sort of lowers it to like I'd give it like an 8 out of 10.
Yeah, I mean, I give it an 8 out of 10 as well. It's just that, the first 90 minutes, like, and even when she goes up to like the cabin, like that all stuff, there's like the Britney Spears like toxic music like seeping in, which I do really like that as well. Actually, I think that's a really nice like a
I don't think
violin
like I think the part where it started to get bad was like right after she died.
Well, that's it. Yeah, the film was apparently initially planned to end on her like body burning, and I'm like, cool, we can end the movie. You know, if the film ends there, that's, because like, even the scene when she's
But then
up
it keeps
in the
going.
room, then it keeps going, and it's like, okay. But I think that scene with the guy on the bed, and him, she's going to, not kill him, but she's gonna.
This was an accident, okay? This wasn't like if you ended there, like, and then
there's that scene, and then there's the part, where we focus on him like suffocate, smothering her with a pillow, and I do want to touch on that because that could feel so like it is hard to watch. Like, it's not it's unpleasant moment, but it doesn't feel exploitative with what it's doing. And I think the film could, like, it's a very sort of.
I think it's like the film doesn't like explain, like they never like go into detail showing any of the visual stuff.
And I'm very grateful for that, by the way. Because we don't need to see that. It's just
Right.
There's sort of like the audio, because that's not really
Like,
the point of the film. Like we focus on when she's
right.
watching the video, we're focusing on Cassie's reaction to it,
Yeah. Like,
because that's what's important. It's not the act itself,
yeah.
really. Like we don't. It's
Right.
Cassie's reaction to
Yeah.
the video.
I'm very glad they didn't make this movie like rape porn, you know?
Oh god, that would have been, because I feel like, I don't know, under like a because I feel like there's definitely some directors who would show that,
Yeah.
and I'd be like,
Yeah.
we don't need to see that,
Yeah.
guys, because
Like
it doesn't.
Emerald Fennell had the right restraint with those scenes.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't want to say that like if this was a male filmmaker, it would be shown, but I think because having a
I
female
mean,
director make this.
like this is a female's story. It fits better for a female to tell the story, you know.
Yeah, exactly, and I think this very much. And I'm not one to say that like a male director couldn't make this film, but I think the film would be different
I think
if it was
I
made.
think it does have a more authentic perspective when it's told
Yeah,
from Emerald
exactly.
Fennell.
And it's sort of the same thing of like I'd go to if I wanted a film about being you know, about being black in New York, whatever, then I'd be like, well, Spike Lee could make that, and it would have
Right.
an authenticity to it, whereas if it was made
Yeah.
by like Tarantino, for example, it probably wouldn't be,
Yeah.
I think, having, I think Emerald Fennell, and because, I don't think, it gives a real, because the film's told from the Cassie is a female character,
Yeah.
and it really,
Yeah.
you can feel, the authenticity to it and all the sort of,
It
there's a
has
lot of just,
her view of the world she's in, you know.
yeah, exactly, and I think that's, I'm totally, fine with that, and I think having, this film is, there's a lot of restraint to it, and I do appreciate that, because,
Yeah.
as sort of out there, the film looks outwardly, it is restrained when it needs to be, we're
Yeah.
not shown all these things, and that's good, because we don't need to see it, it's not the point of the film, really,
Right.
like the only bit of violence we really see is when Cassie goes to
Yeah.
inflict it on the guy.
That's sort of the climactic point of the movie there.
Yeah, exactly, and it
It makes sense,
again,
yeah.
it's a nice sort of
It's very shocking and brutal. Like, but then, like, even then, like, they don't make it like this gory mess by the end. Like, they
no,
do
it's
it very
just
carefully.
it's not like he like I don't know stabs her to death or anything. It's
Right.
she's she's not she's suffocated to death, and
It's
that's
actually, the way they do it, like, the more restrained way of doing it is honestly much more horrific. So, like, it probably works out better.
exactly because because it's, if I remember correctly, it's basically like she's like screaming basically underneath
Yeah.
it, and he's like, but
Yeah.
there's
And
like
it's like,
no
it's a
music, is there?
long,
Like it's pretty,
there's no music. It's just like,
yeah,
there's music initially, but then it stops, and like it's just a long take of him like kneeling on the pillow.
yeah, and I think again this could fall onto the realm of exploitative, but I think
I don't think it really goes there though.
no, and I'm surprised because I feel like because I've got no idea like how, because I feel like because I'm like because it's a very sort of realistic sort of violence, but I don't know, like, because I feel like for somehow, again, in the hands of like a different director, this would feel like it's exploitative,
Yeah.
and I don't even know why why that scene doesn't, because it focuses on it, but it doesn't
Yeah.
feel like, and I'm not entirely sure how it does that, really. But again, I chalk that up to great direction, that you can
Yeah.
showcase that, and I'm not, it's not
I
with
think it's just the way with the long still take that like it
yeah
doesn't. It's not like showing her something like with her face or anything like that. They don't turn it
yeah
into a full-on slasher scene. I mean, it's game. I think when this movie first premiered at Sundance, it was actually a bit more divisive, wasn't it? But like as
mm,
the year went on, it picked up steam on like Twitter, and like people started
yeah
reevaluating it, and that's when it became an awards contender.
yeah. This is a very like Twitter movie. I feel like this feels
Yeah,
like a film that
yeah,
appeals
yeah, it is.
Twitter to the letterboxed community as well. I think it really appeals to
Right.
sort of certain demographics and because I wasn't, I'm more into film now, so I'm very aware of
Right.
film festival stuff that premiere at festivals. So
Right.
I keep track of stuff now, but I I think the films that I really heard of coming out of Sundance that year were The Father and Minari. I think were like the ones that I was very aware of. Because also, yeah, I don't think
Right.
Promising Young Woman was seen as an Oscars contender
I
initially.
don't think like I was watching some like the old Oscar expert videos. Like I don't. It was never like even on their list. It was like
Yeah, because it
number.
doesn't feel like an Oscar film, does it? Like it doesn't
No, not at
feel like
all.
it appeals to that. Yeah, like The Father, that makes sense. Minari, like those sort of like I can see how that can be like an Oscars thing. But Promising Young
Right.
Woman, it just seems a bit too fun for the Oscars, I guess. Like it's
Yeah,
a
I mean it does it has a nice sense of humor to it. I forgot to mention that.
mm, yeah
I
as
was
well. Like
surprised. Like, there were some very funny moments in the movie.
yeah, like it was submitted as drama at the Golden Globes, if I remember correctly, and people were like, "Oh, why did it
Yeah.
do that?" It's sort of, and then it got nominated like at the Golden Globes, and it's like,
Right.
that's interesting because like it seemed like an easy like slam dunk to win comedy, and then it just wasn't, and they're like, "Well, guess it's not getting nominated," and then it just did. It just became
Yeah.
like a and yeah, it's interesting honestly because I'm trying to think if I'd seen this. I think I saw this before it had been Oscar nominated, but
Mm.
I didn't really consider it like an Oscars contender. Like I think all
Yeah.
I'd heard was like, oh, this is a very good movie, and so then I saw it because I was like, oh, this is a movie people like and say is good. Then that's why I saw it. It never
I
crossed my
mean,
mind like, oh, this will be an Oscars thing. Yeah.
once people started looking at the movie that way, I mean, like it's a very accessible movie.
Mm. Yeah, no, definitely. It's it's saying stuff. Like it's got a message
Yeah.
to it, but
Yeah.
and there's
Like
lots of things you
it's
could.
sort
Yeah.
of it's I mean it's weird to call a movie with the subject matter that has fun. Like it
Yeah,
has like
exactly.
a very energetic style to it.
I give it an 8 out of 10. And like if it had ended, yeah,
If it had
15 minutes earlier, it's an easy 9 out of 10,
yeah,
easy. Like,
and I'd
um,
say pretty much the exact same thing.
yeah, yeah, and so we're
It,
tying this into the release of Saltburn, which I already mentioned I've seen, and I'm very happy I did get to see it because it is at the time of recording my favorite film of the year, and it just it feels like Saltburn really feels like she learnt a lot from Promising
yeah,
Young Woman, and like as both a
I
director
mean
and a writer, like
yeah, I mean like for a debut feature, both in directing and writing, like good job, you know. Like
yeah, exactly.
it's difficult to make a movie that good as your first time. It's like you can forgive her for not fully sticking the landing.
Yeah, exactly. And then Saltburn is just like it's like it's far more like overtly funny. Like it's like a very funny movie, but it's also very dark at times. There's lots of serious subject matter
Right.
to it. It sort of takes it takes a lot of the great stuff from Promising Young Woman and just it's more refined. It takes
Yeah.
everything that film did and refines it, fine tunes it. yeah, I'm really looking forward to more people seeing, because I barely know anyone who has actually seen this film. Like because no one's
I mean, like, it had a weird festival. So, like, it went to Telluride, but like not any of the major places, right?
did it not go to it didn't go to Venice or TIFF or any
It,
because
di-
that seems weird.
it,
It seems like
it didn't go to Venice. It didn't go to TIFF.
that's weird,
Yeah.
because that seems like an
Did it even
obvious
go to
like
New? Did it even go to New York? I don't think it did.
that's weird, because it seems like, why would you
But then,
not?
like, yeah, but then like it hits everything else. Like, I think it went to
Yeah,
London, right?
yeah, I know. I think
But it
Sasha
just,
and has seen it. And
yeah.
yeah, like it's gone. It's yeah. I don't know. Yeah, so I'm just looking at it here. It had its world premiere at the 50th Telluride Film Festival. It also premiered as the opening film of the 67th BFI London Film Festival. And that's just weird that it just didn't. Because like, considering how well Promising Young Woman did at festival, like people. It's
Right,
really
yeah.
strange because like.
They just didn't want to put this into that many festivals.
Yeah, so
I
I'm
don't know.
surprised like I was able to see it, because it's like, I live in Australia. Like I'm not, and like the
Yeah.
film festival I attended is not like is not like one of the big film festivals every year. It's a very
Right.
small local festival. It's just weird that much. But
Yeah.
like I'm very happy I did see it, because it's very great, and I
Right.
do look forward to more. It comes out this week. This
Right.
episode it's
Yeah.
going out this week, and it'll be out
Yeah.
this week. So I'm looking forward to, because this film, because I
Yeah.
do think Saltburn, I can really see it going either way for people in terms of
Mm.
it working or not. Yeah, no,
Good.
because this film can really go either way with people. Like I was
Yeah.
watching
I
this, I'm
mean,
like, really great, but
yeah. I mean,
it's
I've heard some stuff about it. It's interesting, but it has my curiosity. Like, I love when
yeah,
they go
I think
all
it's
out weird with these kinds of movies.
yeah, the film is unabashedly just yeah,
Insane.
it's like it's insane. Yeah, it's just like this film is like it's having fun with itself, and I've read a lot of reviews from people who have seen it, and I don't think they get it. I really don't think they get it at all. And it's like, because I'm not one to say that like, I'm like the one who, my opinions are most important, or
Right.
I understand films better. But I
Right.
do think there are some people who don't get it. I think a lot of people
Yeah.
I don't want to say misinterpret. They just sort of, it's that
And just
thing
like
where people are like,
it just
just because
like
this film
it feels like
showcases something.
all of them were missing a piece that you got.
Yeah. Well, it's just like, I think some people just can't separate that. Like, just because a film is showing something does not mean it's like in favor of it. But yeah, thank you for joining me for this week's episode, Josh. Oh, this
Not a
was
problem.
solid recording. Thank you all for listening to this week's episode. Go back, go listen to all the other episodes. This is episode 133. I'm up to currently. Go listen to last week's one. Actually, I thought the last one I did was a very good one. It's like 2.5 hours, so it's got a lot of listening material. But yeah, thank you. Yeah, thanks for joining me
Okay.
again, Josh.
No problem.
Thank you all for
Thanks for having
listening.
me, William.
One,
Yeah.
you are very welcome. If you're interested in doing this again at some point, the door is open. If you wanna do this
All
again
right.
in the future.
Sounds good.
And yeah, thank you all for listening, and I'll see you all in the next one. Goodbye.